Another important issue that persists is the Ukrainian situation. Russia has declared itself ready to negotiate without preconditions, while Ukraine is constantly imposing constraints. Moreover, Kiev supports terrorists in the Sahel. In your opinion, who does not want peace for our two countries?
Traore finally responds to Zelensky. Traore calls on Zelensky to sit at a negotiating table and stop selling his country to Westerners. He denounced Zelensky's act as puppetism, because this is not good. Instead of making your country to progress, you're making it regress through your acts. Innocent people are losing lives because of you. So welcome guys, this is Pillars of History. I'm very grateful to be with you, and I'm very happy. So sit down, let's see the full response of Traore to the journalist who asked him about the Russia-Ukraine war and how must it be ended. Thank you.
Recruited. There was more weaponry, equipment and everything. Even back in '98 under Sankara, we were better equipped. And then, well, 10 or 20 years later, and in the end, terrorism came in. When terrorism arrived, we didn't have an army. We're still suffering from it to this day. It's in the midst of war that we are now building an army. So it's normal that it takes a bit of time. We're suffering, but we have to build an army. And when we come out of this war, we must come out stronger. That's what I'm saying. When I look at the statistics of the Soviet army, the number of men they lost. But when the war was over, they came out much stronger. And today, no army has the equipment that the Russian army has. So we too must learn from our war. When the war is over, we must be very strong. Sovereignty begins with the army. Once you have a strong army, all the other sectors can easily develop. That's what I can say. That's what led Burkina, in any case, to part ways with those armies.
All right. Another important issue that persists is the Ukrainian situation. Russia has declared itself ready to negotiate without preconditions, while Ukraine is constantly imposing constraints. Moreover, Kiev supports terrorists in the Sahel. In your opinion, who does not want peace for our two countries?
I think that even before now, it was the Turkish President Erdogan who managed to create a framework for dialogue, and I believe the two presidents met at that time. It was only at the beginning of the operation. And all of us hoped that it would lead somewhere, that the weapons would fall silent and that everyone would return to good intentions. But it was the Westerners who came and told the Ukrainian president not to accept. We followed all that. And in the end, what did it lead to? Well, I think all of this is part of a manipulation. I think they were manipulated. Otherwise, the Ukrainian and Russian peoples were the Soviet Union. They are brothers. How is it that hatred and Russophobia were able to be cultivated within this population? The war didn't start in 2022. It started in 2014. This is also a reality that many people perhaps don't know, or that people refuse to talk about. It was in 2014 that the war began. And today, people are surprised to see that the blame is perhaps being shifted onto Russia and all that. When civilians, Russian speakers were being bombed in 2014, who spoke up? There are images that still exist. People were locked in houses and burned. There are images that are there, but action should have been taken all this time. They were manipulated, and today the reality is plain to see. You see, all the aid that was given, it wasn't really aid. They were told to hand over their minerals. In reality, Ukraine no longer belongs to the Ukrainians. They were manipulated, and now they are the losers. All sectors will be managed by those who led them into this war. The hope was to weaken Russia, but Russia is coming out of this war even stronger. So I think they need to understand this and come to their senses in order to negotiate and achieve peace. Because they have declared that they support the terrorists. Did you all follow that? And we can also see on the ground that they are indeed supporting the terrorists. This is not a good war. I think they are completely mistaken. they need to come to their senses. In any case, they can support them, but we will fight them and we will win. So, if they still haven't understood by now that this whole maneuver was meant to bring them down and seize their critical minerals, they can keep waging war. So that's what I can say about the situation. Every people must understand that they need to avoid being manipulated and getting into a very complicated situation. That's about all I can say.
Thank you very much for that answer. Mr. President, what do you think of the Sputnik news agency and its role in the African media landscape? In what way are these contents appealing to African audiences? And in your opinion, what is the main difference with mainstream media?
The press is very important. Communication, you know that it's through the press that people's minds are shaped. So you already play a very important role by bringing out a part of the truth about history and the present. You must continue in this direction to awaken people's awareness. Because you see, it's all this Western press and all that which have contributed to...
Never told the Americans or the French when they should organize their elections, so it is not up to them to come and tell us when we should organize ours. There will be no more elections to please the West, said Prime Minister of Burkina Faso. Our priorities are security, the rebuilding of the state and development. If the elections can help us have security, we will organize them. If the elections can help us rebuild our state, if the elections can bring development, we will organize them as soon as possible. We are tired of going in circles. We must get our country out of the environment of poverty in which we have been for a long time. We must be clear that if elections were a means of development, we would have already been developed long ago. We do not organize elections to organize elections. When we are politicians without objectives, we organize elections for the sake of elections. We are not politicians. We are men with a mission. We came for a mission. It is to secure our territory, rebuild our state, and develop our country. If elections can help us achieve these goals, we will hold them. Suppose the elections cannot help us achieve these objectives. In that case, we will suspend them until we are ready.
And I hope everyone is aware that we are no longer in a war on terrorism, but in a war of independence. Everyone must understand that it is a strategy for the imperialists to impose this war on us. Normally, every leader, every ruler should fight for their country. It's a strategy. They fight for their interests, and we must also fight for our interests. If we manage to develop, to prosper, it means that over there, they will not be able to develop. They will have to regress. If we manage to transform our raw materials tomorrow, it means that over there, factories will close. Do you understand the logic? So it's normal that they fight to disrupt our society, to keep it in this constant war, so that we can never think about developing one day. And then they will continue to develop, while we will still be here exporting our raw materials to them and our youth, suffering in poverty, trying to cross the ocean to go beg over there.
So that is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, who has made waves and who is not backing down on his claims. He says that for the country to be in peace and for the country to achieve peace, there must be peaceful negotiations and clear terms to avoid another spiral into another conflict. So there must be clear negotiations and vivid terms to put to an end a war which has taken almost 4 years. It is in its fourth term. So a lot of lives have lost in that war. Just because the Westerners are pushing Zelensky, they are pushing him. They want minerals and everything, you know their policy. They are using Ukraine as a proxy to weaken Russia. But you cannot weaken Russia, that is it. Russia is a strong country since the beginning and since the start. That's why the Russians said, we will win. Whether you like it or not, this is our win. And indeed, they have achieved their goals. They have achieved their goals. A half of Ukraine, almost a half of Ukraine is under Russian control. Though the media portrays 20%, it is almost a half of Ukraine. That is it. So let's see the developments, and that is Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He doesn't fear. He is a person who doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't care whether you Trump or what. He doesn't care. What he cares about is his own country. His country is the first priority. Otherwise, these other people, he doesn't care about them. Whether you're president or what. Give him respect, he respects you. So he always speaks the truth as it is, because he doesn't even read on paper. This is the guy who cannot deliver a speech reading on a paper. He is always giving sincere speech direct from the heart. So these are the kind of leaders that we do want in our countries. Not the leader who is coming to deliver a speech in front of the public and starts reading the paper as if he's reading news, This is crazy. So we have to get such kind of leaders who are motivated and can deliver a full speech without reading anywhere. That means that speech is directed from his heart. Directed from the heart. So those are the kind of leaders we do need in Africa. So thanks for being with us. Thanks for being part of the family. And this is the great journey, the Pan-African journey that is always standing for the truth. Thank you.